This Pesach, we're going to get the opportunity to put ourselves back into our childhood eyes, to look at the Seder again, refreshed from a child's perspective. As the Haggadah says, Okana ben Shoel, the child asks, and asks for questions. Tonight is different. Tonight seems to look different, we have different practices, and we're going to spend 4 sessions together looking at those primary differences that our children, that our inner children notice. The first thing that the child notices is matzah. We don't eat bread, we don't eat any grain products which have any leaven, any rising within them, just matzah. Why, says the son? Do we really answer that question? Have we really answered our children as they stand up on those chairs and they sing out, and in English and in Yiddish and in Hebrew, they use the Nishtana? Do we answer that question? Well, let's think to ourselves, why do we eat matzah? What's the point of this? And ironically, the more we consider this question, the more we realize that it's actually a little complex. At the beginning of the Seder we say, Halachma anya diachlo avasana ba'arda Mitzrayim. You know why we're eating matzah? Because this is the bread of affliction. This is the bread that our ancestors ate as slaves, as they probably huddled around in the cold after a very long day of back-breaking labor. All they had was this broken cracker. That's all they had. They didn't have much more. And therefore, to symbolize what it was like as slaves, we too do that. But then, at the later place in the Seder, when Rabbi Gamliel introduces the 3 primary things that are central to the Seder, it says, Matzah zu al shema. Why do we eat matzah? So he goes on to explain that it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo hispik, they were running out, they were running to redemption. This was a symbol of their ability to escape the land of Egypt. Was there was less than 18 minutes, they already got everything they had, including the food on the cook, and they ran out. And that's why we have matzah, which is a very different symbol. It's not the bread of slavery, but it's really the bread of freedom. So which is it? Why are we eating this? I think that it's instrumental to notice when it is that we focus on each of these different metaphors, the bread of affliction or the bread of freedom. At the beginning of the Seder, we speak in an exiledic language, in the Aramaic language of exile. This is the bread of affliction. That's the beginning of the Seder. Towards the end of the Magid, then we're hearing it's the bread of freedom. And I think that the answer lies in between the two. Because one of the reasons we call it matzah is lechem she'onim alav dvarim harbe, explaining and expounding the pasuk why it's called lechem oni, typically a poor man's bread. The Gemara in Pesachim tells us that it's a bread which is talked about a lot. We talk a lot about it and in front of it, and that's all of Magid. The central and longest part of the Seder is talking about the experiences of matzah, and I think that's a metaphor to our lives. Because there are so many parts in our lives which seem to us the bread of affliction. There are so many parts of our lives which seem to be a place of chronic pain, a place of the trauma of experiences of the past. And whenever we look at those experiences, they always seem to be when we are involved with pain. But sometimes over the course of life, we talk about those experiences. We feel and we realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with us. We understand that they may have been a part of a crucible. There may be a direction, a pivoting in the direction for other things. And sometimes at the end of the story, we realize that was actually part of the bread of freedom as well. Perhaps matzah is very much a metaphor for our lives. The longer we live, the more we experience, the more we process our experiences. Sometimes we have those epiphanies and moments where we realize that the matzah of affliction was really also the matzah of our freedom as well. It's just a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how much oinim olav dvarim harbe, how much we talk about and reflect and insert the Almighty into the story as well. May we be able to find the bread of our freedom within the bread of our affliction. Have a meaningful Pesach.